Want to try the Dakar yourself? Well, go along and buy one of the acceptable vehicles from a car showroom near you. Kitted out with some GPS equipment. Don't change too much. And you could be part of the Dakar Rally next time around. It's the T1 class.
En gros, sur le Dakar, il existe réellement deux
Jerome
catégories. Il y a la catégorie pour gagner, T2 ou T3. Ce sont les prototypes qui peuvent améliorer la voiture.
Want to win,
La deuxième
T2 and
catégorie,
T3 class.
bien moindre.
These are prototypes,
on peut considérer
and you can
qu'ils
challenge
sont
for the lead with those. And then, of
Ce sont des
course, there's
véhicules
category
complètement
T1 with a much smaller budget, which corresponds to another category, the series production cars.
On retrouve tout ce qu'il y a de série, on a le même tableau de bord, on n'a rien le droit de toucher, on a simplement le droit de rajouter un certain nombre de choses. Donc ça, c'est très impressionnant, mais c'est assez simple.
Same as a series car, the dashboard is the same, can't change that.
Ont été plombés au départ de la course.
Just install some GPS
les éléments mécaniques, et en ce qui concerne bien sûr le moteur,
Jean-Jacques
le transfert, le pont avant, le pont arrière, tous ces éléments-là ont été plombés. Et en aucun cas, on a
mechanical elements are controlled and sealed in the Parc Fermé. You can't touch the gearbox, differential, just about anything. You even have to leave the carpets in place.
Cette catégorie est très bien représentée. Il y a 4 marques en course. Il y a Mercedes et Mitsubishi, Toyota et Nissan. Et donc, on est une trentaine de concurrents. Et jamais
very well represented with Mercedes, Mitsubishi, Toyota, Nissan. There are around 30 of us. It's a tough class indeed.
Avec ces voitures, les premiers jours, si vraiment en attaque, on peut
And this is Mr. Strugo,
dans les spéciales.
his pardon.
Faut pas chercher à dixième.
This car, in the opening days, he says, if you attack very hard,
tous les jours, à l'arrivée, on sera
10th in the class, but you might break it. Best to stay around 15 or 20.
Et pas se laisser prendre au jeu de la...
Rachet says if you want to perform well, you just have to stay up there. Don't push too hard and avoid any accidents. Of course. And Jerome Riviere, the leader in the class, says, I think this category will be well played out right up until the pyramids themselves. That's T1, close indeed. Only half an hour separating the top 3 in the class. Riviere leading, ahead of Strugo and Raté. Well, if you've had a bad day at the office, as Mr. Fontenay had on this particular day, 2 punctures, he said, truck came along to help. We managed to get away, he said. How do you relax? Well, you sit down, perhaps play the game of Gilles Picard. It's about the Dakar Rally. Is you're the yellow one? Okay, we go. Struggle card, suspension problems, brakes. Change all the parts with the truck. Away we go. I should have started so fast. Another struggle card.
Votre copilote est déconcentré, erreur de
Your
navigation.
co-pilots have made a navigation error. Go back 3. Absolutely impossible.
C'est vrai que j'ai reporté un petit peu.
It's true, says Picard. I put a lot of my own experience and struggles into this game. Development over 7 years. It's a unique thing. Very nice indeed. It's positive, he says. You can help the injured bikers. Go ahead and 3. 6 stages, 3 types of terrain.
Je suis parti d'un système assez compliqué.
Started off quite complicated, but now, after development, it works very well indeed. Nice and fun to play, he says. Checkpoints as well. Got 3 days to wait. Have a good break and take the plane. With the help of Gilles Picard's game. So back to the history of the Dakar, 1986, and Thierry Sabine, the man they called the God, the one who created this race in his mind's eye. Sadly, he was killed as his helicopter hit a dune, which was masked by a sandstorm. 14th of January, 1986. Thierry Sabine sadly died. It was one of the longest and one of the toughest Dakars. 15,000 kilometers from Paris to Alger, down to Dakar. 486 competitors in toto. 131 motorcycles, 282 cars. It was very tough indeed, the toughest yet. Oh, mechanical problems and injuries there were, as ever. Total vehicle shut down. Hubert Auriol, one of those injured. Very angry. Not a happy man. Well, Porsche were to take a 1-2 with René Metsch winning it ahead of X and Brasseur. Mitsubishi third with Rigal and Maigret. The man we all turned to was Gilles Savine, the father of Thierry, as Suzanne, his girlfriend, got our sympathy. Cyril Neveu winning it on the bikes. 1987, a mass start, and the Peugeot 205s were about to weave their magic. 539 started, 154 motorcycles, 312 cars. It was once again Alger Dakar, 13,000 kilometers this time. Some of the more arduous sections were removed, but it was anything but easy. The real battle was between Cyril Neveu and Hubert Auriol on the bikes. All day, every day, the lead was changing. It was a great race and was enthralling everybody. Very hard indeed, said Auriol. Each was suffering punctures, mental stress as well, as you can imagine. It was classic Dakar stuff.
Non, non, Hubert, il est loin. Il a crevé. Oh putain.
Each asking about the other whenever they stopped. The ardours of this race, apparent to all. Time imperative. And in the end, it looked like Auriol was going to win. Heading into the final day, Auriol was to fall badly. He broke both his ankles. A fellow rider helped him back onto his bike. He came in, shattered, late, in terrible pain. Cyril Neveu was waiting. The time started to tick away. He'd won it, but he was worried. And when Auriol finally arrived, he was heartbroken and in extreme pain. Both ankles broken. A true hero out of the race this time. Neveu took it. Vatanen won it on the Peugeot ahead of Zanaroli in the Range Rover, and Shinazuka, a name that has become entwined with the Dakar, finishing third. So to 1988, the year of the dunes. It was also a year, sadly, of many fatalities, more than any other Dakar. Auriol, he changed his bike for a VW buggy. Porsches not suited this time for this sort of terrain. It was tough. The quads also in action, as were the monster trucks. They were getting faster and faster, dangerously so, as we will see. The soft sand, once again Paris Alger Dakar. 603, the number of competitors. The Peugeots, they were outstanding. Vatanen looked to be leading. There's a story yet to unfold there as well. showboating, Pierre-Marie Folly. And just look at the speed of this truck. The DAF, well, it turned out to be just too fast. And Jan de Roy was to withdraw the team after a tragic accident. Another in a series. Driver dead, 2 seriously injured. It marred the race. Well, Eddie Orioli was to take it for Honda ahead of the Yamaha of Pico and another Honda of Lelay. It was to be won in the end by Kankkunen in the Peugeot. What you may ask of Ari Vatanen? Well, his car was to have been stolen, so it was claimed. Yes, his car disappeared. The next day, it turned up directly outside of the hotel. The authorities didn't accept any excuses, and as a result, he was thrown out of the rally. The word was the car was in better shape than when it had disappeared. That, of course, a rumour. So Kankkunen took it for Peugeot in the 205, ahead of Mitsubishi of Shinozuka and the Range Rover of Tambay. 3 Range Rovers indeed, Smith and Miller, 4 and 5. So to 1989, Vatanen determined to do well, pushing too hard, even in the prologue. He flipped. Well, it wasn't all over, you'll be glad to know. And Vatanen was to go on to victory in this one. It was Paris, Tunis, Dakar, 10,831 kilometers, shorter than most, but just as tough. Coming back from the adversity of the year before when he was thrown out, pleased to have proved a point. It was Peugeot's 1 and 2 with X second ahead of Tambay and the Mitsubishi. On the bikes, Gilles Lelay ahead of this man, Franco Pico. On the Yamaha, Marc Morales on a Honda in 3rd place. Once again, as tradition was having it, it was the beach between Saint Louis and Dakar provided the final day's entertainment. And so to 1990, into the 90s with a visit to Tripoli and Libya. The Paris-Tripoli-Dakar, 11,420 kilometers, with 465 competitors in total. Peugeot were absolutely dominant on the bikes. It was the Kajiba that came through to take it ahead of Yamaha. Peugeot's 1, 2 and 3, Vatanen, Valdegaard and Ambrosino. The dunes causing many early retirements amongst the bikes. Only 46 finished. 87 cars made it. It was tough, as ever. Peugeot's superb in the dunes of the Tenerife. Light enough and powerful enough to skip over the trouble for others. Orioli taking it for Kajiva, ahead of Masompa Somora. For Yamaha, Andy Petri, another Kajiva ahead of a group of Yamahas. The Peugeots 1, 2 and 3, their dominance complete in this year. Into 1991, and Citroën unveiled their first ZX. Varnen had transferred teams. He was a winner again. Once again, it was Paris, Tripoli, Dakar. The bikes perhaps looking more familiar. Stefan Petterhansel, a name that's familiar, on the Yamaha. Well, Citroën may have gone on to victory, but they lost 2 due to oil coolant problems. Cars bursting into flames. Well, navigation also a difficulty in this year. Particularly so. So victory for Vatnen, for Citroën, followed by 3 Mitsubishis of Lartigue, Bodnay and Ericsson. On the bikes it was Petterhansel, Lale and Magnaldi. Yamaha's 1, 2, 3. Well, 1992 was a special one. It was Paris-Le Cap. We were into the tropics. Hubert Auriol had changed to Mitsubishi. Petterhansel was on Yamaha. They were victorious. The Schlesser buggies were in there too. But what characterized this Dakar was the fact that we were entering the tropics and wet terrain. It wasn't the desert that we'd all been used to. Not for all of it anyway. Mitsubishi coming through to dominate. Auriol taking victory ahead of Weber and Shinazuka. On the bikes, miraculously, 45 finished. Stefan Petterhansel on board Yamaha was to take it ahead of Laporte, Arcarons and Morales. A trio of Kajivas, but not good enough to top the Yamaha. Destination Cape Town. It was one of the most dramatic and enthralling Dakar rallies in the history of the race. Long as well, 12,427 kilometers in all. Everyone was glad to finish, but glad to have been part of such a great event, as is always the case with the Dakar Rally.